obviously what has happened since President Tshisekedi came into power, he was like, wait a minute. Now, if this is how business is being done, then I don't want it. Because what happens most of the time is obviously that the country is losing out billions. Welcome to Good Morning DRC TV, to your channel, where we talk to you about things that are happening around Africa. And our desire is to see the whole of Africa rise, and we expect good things to happen to the continent. Can I just ask you, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe and give us thumbs up and share this link with other people. Give us your comments so that we can actually bring you good content. Now, today I want to talk about a man that has been, if you like, in conflict with the Democratic Republic of Congo for the past 2 decades. And the question is this the end of KAGAME? Is this the end of the man who had a strong hand on the politics of the Democratic Republic of Congo? It seems to be the end, if you like, with the advent of Felix Tshisekedi in power. They call him Fachi Beton, a man of steel. And he has proven to be a man of steel if you see the way he deals with President Kagame. Now, as you would know, if you know a little bit about the history of the Democratic of Congo and the relationship with its neighbors, especially Rwanda and Uganda, you will know that in the past, most of the leaders, if you like, Kabila, the father, and Kabila, Joseph, both of them had links or connections with Rwanda, with Uganda. So they all came into power with the help of the leaders of this country. So which means in a way they had their hand on the affairs of this nation. And pretty much many of the decisions that were taking place here in the Democratic Republic of Congo was somewhat tainted by the influence of Kagame, a man who has known nothing but war and bloodshed, and if you like, combat. He said it himself that, if the Congo wanted to learn anything to do with war, then he was the man to go to. Who would brag about killing? Who would brag about looking for, somebody to kill or blood to shed? It's not a good thing, for somebody to go about saying those kind of things, but he did say it. Now, the point here is basically to look at the current situation there and just really to understand what is it that is unfolding since the advent or the coming into power of Fachi Beton. What we do realize is that his predecessor had, if you like, strong connections with Rwanda, which obviously allowed many pretty much, Kagame to have an easy ride in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but that isn't the case now. One of the reasons as to why Kagame did that is because he wanted to have pretty much his hand on the natural resources in the eastern part of the Congo. Because as you know, that Congo is so rich in terms of its potential in minerals. And Kagame kind of, like I said, had a door wide open for him to come and take. And so what he did is that he would export, if you like, gold that they don't produce in their own country, and coltan, which they don't produce in their own country, and, so much of the minerals that Kagame or Rwanda was actually exporting was actually coming from the DRC. Now, I don't know how many mining sites he had in the DRC and how much, but it is a lot more than you can ever imagine. Now, obviously, what has happened since President Tshisekedi came into power, he was like, wait a minute. Now, if this is how business is being done, then I don't want it. Because what happens most of the time is obviously that the country is losing out billions and billions of dollars, but this money is going to build Rwanda and Rwanda economy and Uganda and so on and so forth. But when the DRC and its inhabitant and population are being impoverished by the hour, by the day. So he said, no, we've got to put a stop to this. It's going to have to be a win-win situation. Obviously, the man didn't like it. And so after when President Tshisekedi kind of brought in that kind of a policy and that way of looking at things, we saw the, if you like, the rearmament of the M23, which is a militia, a military group pretty much backed by Rwanda, and their only vision is basically to kill, to butcher, and to take control of cities, and if you like, in the eastern part of the Congo, and so they can have their hands on the natural minerals in that part of the world. So what has happened is that President Tshisekedi laid it all clear for the man to see and understand that whatever plan that he had, that is, if you like, to beyond the economic reasons and interests in the fight in the DRC, the man wanted to expand into the DRC, take a chunk of Goma, if you like, Kivu, to annex that into Rwanda so it can become a protectorate of Rwanda. Now, this is the vision or the dream that, he had, and he still harbor some of these thoughts to this very day. He made it clear not long ago, recently, this very year, where he said, everybody knows and understands that the conflict in the eastern part of the Congo is to do with land. Now, we understand that by saying that, he was obviously referring to some kind of a deal that had taken place on March 23rd, going back in 2009. That gave them some rights to come in and then basically, take a piece of land, and because of whatever it is that, they concluded in that treaty. But President Tshisekedi came into power and said, no, that isn't so. It ain't going to happen, not under his watch. And then obviously that set everything into motion. And then obviously President Kagame is now in a position where he says, no, you know what? He finds himself in a situation that he doesn't have as much power as he had in the past. He can't lay his hands on the minerals as he did. He cannot, reach and take just what he wants. Now, if you can see his position now is that, he tried as much as he could to maneuver things so that he will have access, but it has been denied. He pressed the button, the answer came, denied. And now the man that he hates the most is Fachi Beton. He's doing everything he can, using his, if you like, people that work for him and his team really to do whatever he can to sabotage what is happening in the DRC. But he has failed on a number of occasions. But if you look at what is happening recently, you understand that, Kagame or the Rwanda country is, if you like, supported by many countries in the West. Amongst them, we have France, and then you have the United States of America and the EU. Somehow they were pumping a lot of money into Rwanda because of the genocide that took place, which, somehow the French turned a blind eye, the US turned a blind eye. Now they're thinking somehow that they have a moral debt that they have to pay, turning a blind eye to what is happening to the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is actually crazy. Now they turned the blind eye on what happened in Rwanda in 1994. Now they've turned a blind eye in what is happening in the DRC since 2000, since that time up until now. And that's crazy. You look at it, 10 million people have already died or lost their lives in the DRC, but the international community have turned a blind eye. They're not saying anything. They seem to be, if you like, somewhat hiding behind the militia group. Now in the DRC, you have all the tech companies, all the natural resources, all the resources that they're using into their mobile phones and computers, and also in the electric vehicles. Many of them are being mined in the DRC. But do they really care to talk about the fact that we are losing lives and children are suffocating and children are being used in all these things that are happening in that part of the world, in our part of the world, in the eastern part of Congo? No. They don't really care what happens here in the Congo. That's why we must stand and speak to for ourselves and fight for ourselves. Now, I was talking about, is this the end of Kagame? It could well be the end of Kagame, because now that President Tshisekedi has made it, if you like, the DRC situation, he's brought it out to the open. Now, everybody, when I say everybody, I mean the international community cannot hide anymore. The President Tshisekedi has made it clear that we have a problem here, that unless you intervene, then it's not going to turn out very good. Now, he talked to all the different organizations that you would think of, and they are now aware. They cannot say we did not know, because there is a, if you like, a document, a report by the United Nations that implicates, that also mentions that Rwanda is actually playing a part in the destruction of what is happening, in the destruction of the DRC, or in the fighting that is taking place in the DRC. But they've received that report a long time ago, but they haven't bothered to do anything about it. Now, President Tshisekedi actually came out with that report again, and he put it on the table, and he says, you have seen this, you've had this report from the United Nations. What has been done? Nothing. And I'm giving you time to actually talk to the man so he can withdraw his troops from the DRC. Nothing seems to be happening. When I act, then nobody is going to say that he acted alone or unilaterally. But I'm just saying that, he is actually going around and letting everybody know that there is an issue here. If you turn a blind eye, then don't blame me for what comes thereafter. So I can actually see very recently, last month only, the United States of America suspended its military cooperation with Rwanda, and that is actually a big loss for Rwanda. It's not just in terms of money, the influence as well. France is actually playing a role, but you can understand that it's being cornered as well, because we know that France doesn't really like the DRC or the politics of Fachi Beton, because he is the man who doesn't just give in easily to their demand. He wants something that will work for the Congolese people, that will cause this country to rise and to move forward. So I can see that, with what is happening with Kagame right now, he's touching left and right to see who will ally with him, so that they can obviously try to frustrate and sabotage what is happening in DRC. But with all that is unfolding right now, the man is being weakened by the hour, by the day, and by weeks. And as things develop and go on, we can actually say and predict what will happen. But he's been in power for how long? For almost 29 years. That has been in power. He wants to run again for elections. You can put together, the man wants to be here for 35 years. Isn't that a long time? But yes, this is the situation that we're in today. I believe that this is, if you like, the sign, the telltale sign that Kagame is basically coming to an end of his power. And then we shall see. I mean, we're not talking about, the Rwanda people. No, we're talking about the regime itself. The people there deserve to be, to live a good life like everybody else. Now, we're talking about a regime that is not actually helping the people, but actually wants to destroy so that they can actually build their utopia. But it ain't gonna happen under Fachi Beton's watch. You watch and see what unfolds. I'll bring you more information as things are unfolding, but just keep it in your mind somewhere that the end of Kagame is at hand. Just keep watching. Take care of yourself. Until next time. Bye-bye for now.